Hi there, I'm Jill Urban and welcome to a special edition of On the Move. Today we're taking a look at the state of the market. Halstead recently released its second quarter market report, and the numbers showed that the market is having a natural price correction. Prices are down, inventory and time on the market are up, and we had the opportunity to sit down with Halstead's chief economist Greg Heym to find out what it all means. Well, so things are not what they were last year. Things continue to slow down. Tell me about where we are in the market now.
Well, what we've seen, particularly over the last 2 years, is a buildup of inventory, particularly on the high end of the market. Buyers are very well aware that there's a lot of product, a lot to choose from, so inventory has continued to build up. We've also had a couple of events the last few years, you may have noticed, that have also caused some hesitancy, including a presidential election, a Brexit announcement, tax reform, and a midterm election,
which is coming
just around the corner. So buyers have had, reasons to take pause and now feel comfortable that they can wait and still get the apartment they're looking for.
So usually we see a correlation between a strong economy and a strong housing market, but there's definitely a bit of a disconnect. Why do you think we're seeing that now?
Well, and it's certainly very frustrating to sellers who
sure.
look at a surging national economy. They look at a local economy where we've seen record low unemployment rates in New York City. Wall Street is having a great run here, $30 billion in bonuses last year. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is that prices in Manhattan have pretty much been steadily growing for close to 9 years now, with very little interruption in that. You need a correction at some point to get prices where they need to be.
We haven't had one in a long time, right?
Right, and Wall Street's had a couple of them. We've seen stocks pull back a couple of times. And I think that's what frustrates, because it's hard for anybody to remember a market where you have a sluggish housing market and great economic fundamentals, although rising interest rates also plays a small part of it, and tax reform also.
So all of these are leading to the hesitancy of buyers.
Right, you would think we get used to all this uncertainty and panic that seems to come up, but there are always new challenges for a buyer and seller to adjust, and it takes time to figure out where the market should be.
Well, let's talk about the difference between new construction and resale. How is a new construction?
Well, new construction is actually seeing bigger declines in sales. Some of that is timing. Buildings get ready at certain times and they close. But that's essentially luxury product, the vast majority of it. So it's not surprising that there's more of an effect there versus the resale market. And with also the knowledge that a lot more product is on the way in the next year or two, I think buyers of new construction feel very comfortable waiting, or even looking at recent construction.
But as new things are coming up, they're still left over from the last wave of construction.
And investors who bought units, to resell them, they may have to cut the price a little bit based on what's happened in the market since they bought.
So you have a moment to sit down with a buyer and a seller. What advice do you have for each, starting with the buyer?
Well, the buyer, I say, negotiate, make an offer. Don't be afraid to buy an apartment now. Obviously, prices are probably going lower for most segments of this market, particularly the luxury end, because supply is indicating that. Mm-hmm. So, people tend to not want to buy things, when it comes to housing or stocks, when prices are declining. But you're getting the best deal you've gotten probably in about 5 years.
Right,
or so.
Don't wait for it to go lower. I mean, this is the time.
Timing it is always impossible. You don't want to miss out on a great opportunity. Look at the comparables, look where the market was for that apartment a couple of years ago. I think you'll see you're getting, a great deal that, again, maybe you could have gotten 5 or 6 years ago. But, those opportunities don't come around too often.
For sure, right? Now, what do you say to the seller, the anxious seller right now?
Listen to your broker. Mm-hmm. You have to be priced correctly in this market. And, there is a zero tolerance policy buyers have against overpricing. Testing the waters, putting something on the market on a trial basis, small price cuts are not going to get your apartment sold if it's been sitting on the market. If you're overpriced, you will know instantly. Your first open house,
right.
Response to your advertising. This is a very honest and brutal market at times. You'll know right away. And to sell in this market, a lot of times you have to get ahead of it. And for a lot of sellers, that's going to mean getting below your competition, where the value will jump out at the buyer.
And that's a hard thing. They always say your home is only worth what it is the day you go to sell it. It doesn't matter what it was a year ago, which a lot of sellers get hung up on.
Right, and that buyer with all those options isn't really concerned about
right.
what you paid for it and when you got it. So, and I think, look, for sellers that have been in their home a while, take a longer view and say, well, I'm still making good profit. I still have the capital gains exclusion that was preserved during tax reform. So I'm still in a pretty good position.
So let's talk about the sweet spot. Where are we seeing movement in terms of price, apartment type, neighborhood? Where are things happening even in a down market?
Upper Manhattan continues to do very well for a number of reasons. One, it is a very desirable market in terms of price for a lot of people and amenities. It's a growing market. There's retail getting up there, restaurants. And I think the other thing we have to remember too is there is very little inventory of certain products. If you want a smaller co-op there is very little to be found. It's very competitive.
So that's the place to be.
That market has done well. Obviously, with interest rates, ticking up, there is a concern that will impact that market. We've also seen some markets that have been doing well, starting to see price dips now, like on the Upper West Side, which has seen a small decline in prices as inventory has started to build there. They had been the second tightest market in Manhattan. We've also seen this downtown in some areas, whereas inventory built, now we're starting to see prices adjust, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because it gets deals flowing again, and then people feel more confident of where the market should be. When you're in transition, people don't know where things should be at any given moment.
Got it. All right. Well, Greg, thank you so much. We'll come back again in a couple of months after the next report to see where we are, see how things have changed if they do, and we'll have you back then. But thank you so much for being with us. And also want to say thank you so much to the owner and brokers of this fabulous listing, what we're filming today at 2628 Broadway, a magnificent apartment in the heart of the Upper West Side. If you'd like to learn more about this listing or to see a copy of the market report, you can visit halstead.com. Thanks so much for joining us. For On the Move, I'm Jill Urban.